Soldiers of Shoot. I'm Hollywood Edwards, and with me is General Stames. And as you can see in the title, we watched Impact. Let's talk first. General Stames, I have not watched Impact in a very long time. I think the last time I watched Impact was when Dixie sold the company, when Billy Corgan and the whole lawsuit was going on. At that time, I checked out. I have no idea what TNA/Impact has done since then. And I tuned in Friday, and that's what we're going to talk about. When was the last time you watched it?
Yeah, same times. I mean, back in the Billy Corgan stuff, I dropped out too. And I guess it's not TNA at all anymore. It's just Impact Wrestling. So, and it's funny because when we do these shows and we talk about the past, you'll hear me bumbling constantly over, is it TNA, is it Impact? And sometimes I'll even say TNA/Impact. But right now, it is Impact Wrestling. So it's going to be great to talk about this. We're going to talk about, I'm sure, Dixie and Bully Ray and the Aces and Eights and all of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll say this before we get started. Impact fans, if you are listening, we would like you to throw down a bunch of comments. If you're one person that has 80,000 different things that they want to tell us about, feel free to do so. We don't care. If you drop 20 different comments about the things we're going to talk about, we may need some help. I did this kind of an experiment for myself to see exactly what Impact Wrestling, not TNA, not TNA/Impact. The reason I said that in the beginning was because I don't know when it converted. Because when I was watching it, it was TNA Wrestling, and the show was called Impact. So, again, when you hear things like this, you want to put it down in the comments. Inform us, because I don't know if this is going to be a thing where I came into it to see what they had on the show, and I got to say, personally, I wasn't that impressed. I don't think there was a whole lot there, but there were a couple things there that might make me keep coming back. Maybe I'll do it again this week. Impact fans, just let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking when you're listening to the show as we go here. Let me turn it over to General Stames, because we are going to break this down. We're going to go through the show and let you know what two guys that haven't watched Impact thought of the show. We haven't watched it in years. So,
can I start with this? Bro, we're talking when we decided we're going to watch this show. And I think we've said on a previous show that I cut my Dish Network package down because they were raping me for money. It was
yes.
Unbelievable what they were doing. So I cut my package down to, I don't know, I have like about 14 channels or something. And maybe it's not that bad, but it is pretty bad. And you have cable, and you have a pretty decent package, correct?
Yeah, I do. Pretty decent, I would say.
Okay. So
got a lot of channels.
Here's the amazing thing. We're trying to figure out how we can watch this. Twitch and all this stuff that's going on. Do we have to be live or whatever? So we're on the phones with each other. We're going through our guides for my satellite, your cable. And bro, Pursuit is one of the 33 channels I have, and in your 200 channels you don't have Pursuit.
Yes, and that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because again, Impact fans, you're going to get the two options here. General Stames is watching it on his television. I had to go to Twitch because I don't have the channel, so I did watch it on Twitch live Friday night.
So there you are. Now, do you have to sit through the commercials and all then, or are there commercials? What's going on in the commercial breaks for you?
The commercial breaks, it was Melissa Santos. It would go to commercial, and Melissa Santos would be there live in front of a computer, basically hyping the show, basically, here and there would say something that was being said in the chat, or somebody that subscribed, she would say their name, and they would put on a counter, Impact returns in 3 minutes or whatever, and there's a countdown as it goes.
So, is she AAA? Because I know she's a Lucha Underground person, so I'm just trying to understand the relationship that TNA has with AAA. I guess I guess it's a totally, reciprocal agreement. It seems like they have a lot of AAA talent. Most, it seems like, is AAA talent.
And with the Lucha Underground TV contracts, it's very confusing. Impact fan, you're listening. There's got to be one of you out there listening to this. We watched Impact, okay? Put it down in the comments. What exactly is the roster buildup of Impact right now? Because a lot of the stuff that I saw, I wasn't sure if they were regulars. I wasn't sure if they're full-time Impact roster guys or if they're just picked up like it's an indie show. Do they sign a 4-appearance contract like the Disco Inferno or, Phoenix and Pentagon? What's the deal there? If you know, put it down in the comments. Let us know.
All right, bro. So the show kicks off with a 6-man tag team match. You got OVE.
Yes.
Is what I believe. Sami Callihan, Jake and Dave Crist taking on Willie Mack. We know him as The Mack over in Lucha Underground. And then you have Impact X Division champion Rich Swann, who I believe was a WWE talent not so long ago. And I think there was something that happened there, maybe domestically, that he lost his job with WWE. And the legendary Tommy Dreamer, who, bro, I would say stole the show in this match. Tommy Dreamer entertained the hell out of me in this match. What do you think of this match?
I will say this about this first match. Dreamer owned the crowd. Owned the crowd. I love that you can hear, whether it's Conan's podcast or Bully Ray on Busted Open or Vince Russo, all these guys make comments about Dreamer's weight. And now he's using it as the gimmick. I think it's hysterical. I marked out for the spot where he went up on the second rope and had second thoughts, and he went down to the first rope, and I don't know what he did, double axe handle or whatever. But it was very high risk for Tommy. Bro,
I got to tell you, when I saw it, I was like, what does he do? Like, I thought it was a botch at first because he climbs outside and goes up to the top turnbuckle. But then he comes back inside down to the second and eventually down to the first. And at that point, I'm just laughing my ass off. And, of course, the announcers are saying, high risk, high impact move for Tommy Dreamer. Bro, the guy was – the shit that he was doing – the spot where everybody did the dives outside of the ring.
Yes.
And he backs up and goes through the rope and goes down and hits somebody. My wife comes into the room while this is all happening with Tommy Dreamer, and bro, she couldn't leave. She was sitting there watching Tommy Dreamer, laughing and going, "That guy's pretty funny," she said.
That's great. I thought it was pretty good. So at this point, I thought we were off to a good start. Rich Swann, I kind of know. Mac, of course, I know. Ohio versus everything. We just recently talked about Callihan and John Moxley. Could it happen again? Mm-hmm. And of course, what was the? I know the tag team there, the Crists brothers. They're
right, Jake and Dave.
Yes, they're. I think their tag team was called Ohio versus everything or Ohio something. They used to run with. But now apparently it's a faction. So what was your take? Because I don't know where to land on that. The little faction there, the OVE. And later on in the show, they had a backstage, kind of vignette or whatever. Is there something there? Or do you think, apparently the crowd loved them. But to me, I don't know if it's like when I was in the Twitch reading the comments, because it's live time chat. People were calling them, like a Shield ripoff. I don't know if it's because they were wearing kind of the look.
I can see that. Yep. They had on some kind of a vest.
Yes.
Like that, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to see more of them to be able to say whether I think that, there's somebody who can get over or not. Mm-hmm. Again, I was entertained by this match, but for the most part, I was entertained because of Tommy Dreamer. There was a lot of other stuff going on in this match. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was all over the place, inside the ring and outside the ring. So it kept me interested. I think this match took up virtually the entire first half hour of the show.
That was close to it. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And, bro, I was into the first half hour. So I guess that is something. Just the fact that I was really into the first half hour, and I thought the first half hour blew by.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both there. The only other thing I'll say about it too was we've been talking a lot about tag wrestling in the recent videos on this channel.
Yes.
Again, it's very tag wrestling 2019. So on the surface, I don't like the style, but at the same time, because you can see like the fluidity, there's a couple botchy type. I don't want to say botchy, but some of the spots are kind of like, because it's so fast paced, and Rich Swann is hitting this guy, and then this guy, Mac comes in and he's running, and so it's not classic tag wrestling. But at the same time, before I kill it, I'm not gonna kill it because they're doing the same thing over on WWE every week.
Right.
So to me, it's even Steven. I mean, it's no worse. I'll say that. It's no worse for sure than what they're doing on Raw. So
I think they have one of those spots in the match too that they do where, two guys are in the ring, one guy levels the other guy, and somebody comes in, he levels him, the next guy comes in, levels him. I hate that shit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate that round robin bullshit.
Right, that spot. That whole
and then
spot.
it ends up with the two first guys back. Like, what is it for? You end up right back in the same spot anyway.
It's true, yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't get that as far as the psychology in these new matches, these new style matches.
Yeah, I don't understand. Now, the only other thing I wanted to ask you about is at the very beginning of the show where they're introducing these 6 guys, the crowd was fanatic, but I'm not so sure it was real. What did you think? Was the crowd noise real in the beginning of the show, especially when these 6 guys were being introduced, because it was deafening?
Yeah, I couldn't tell. Now, I watched it with headphones, and I can hear exactly what you're talking about, but I couldn't tell if it was actual crowd sound or if it was piped in. Not sure. If you're listening and you know that they pipe in, let us know.
The part that, like, when I was watching it on my screen, the fans that were right there around the ramp didn't seem like they were screaming or carrying on, but yeah, I could hear a lot of screaming and carrying on. I'm just wondering why those fans right around the ramp seem like, like a Louisiana audience, I mean, it just they just didn't have any reaction, but the rest of the crowd did, or was it not real? I'm not sure.
I'll say this too. We used to bang on Josh Matthews in the TNA days for being overly excited, and it came off weird because there was no crowd sound. But if they are piping it in, if that was piped in, Josh sounded better. So I would almost say, even if it's piped in, I'll take it because it made it sound better.
Right.
So keep piping. If they're piping the sound in, keep doing it, because, man, that used to be bad in TNA where somebody would come out and Josh would be like having a conniption fit, and there was the crowd sounded dead, and it was just weird. So
the match ends actually with Sami Callihan. I don't know, grabbed Dreamer by the nuts, but Dreamer doesn't have the I guess, the super penis, so he couldn't defend that, and he takes a pile driver, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3 count.
Did they call that? Was that the Iron Claw? Is he using
I think so.
that?
I guess because I think they actually said something on the broadcast about the claw.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. They may want to grab Joey Ryan and have a feud. The Iron Claw versus the impenetrable, power of the penis.
Yes,
that might be a good feud.
I can't. I mean, if you put that on pay-per-view, the numbers that pay-per-view would get all across the greater Danville, Virginia area would be incredible. I'll tell you that. So. Backstage, Brian Cage confronts Johnny Impact. Asks him if he's ready for tonight, and Impact replies, "You just make sure you're ready." And that's the end of that segment.
Yes.
Backstage, bro, the Rascals are sitting in their smoking circle talking about their loss to the Lucha Brothers last week, okay? And then Moose comes in and beats up the one guy. But, bro, the smoking was... Is that weed, or are they supposed to be smoking?
Yeah, that was a take on that 70s show. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
They used to do that. It was shot exactly like they used to do it on the show. The characters would be on there, and you'd see the smoke, and then it would just click over to another character in the same spot. But I knew exactly what they were doing, but I don't know what's been going on with Moose, and I don't even know who the Rascals are. I'll be honest. So it was probably pretty funny if you knew what was going on, but I didn't. So I was kind of looking at it like, what are they doing? I know what they're trying to do, but I didn't understand the content. But that's because I haven't been watching it.
So I guess as time goes on, we'll find out more about that. It seemed to me like it struck me as something that could be funny, though.
Right.
So
and again, I think at this point, I gotta say, the first half hour with Dreamer was good, and then this came on, and I was like, all right, we're not in PG land anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're doing a weed smoking circle.
Right.
You know, when was the last time you saw that on WWE programming?
It's been never.
A
long time. Okay, so we go next to Glenn Gilberti, and we see that he's been having a feud with one of the women over there, Bardot, I believe, or something like that is her name. But he says that women's wrestling hasn't been good since the bra and panty matches. And the funny thing about that, bro, is if you actually listen to Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno, his real opinions on women's wrestling, that's him.
Yep.
Like, this is not an angle.
Yep.
This is exactly how Glenn Gilberti feels.
That's what I loved about this. Because it was just, 2 weeks ago, maybe. Maybe longer than that. I can't remember. But I heard a Russo clip. Well, they were talking about Disco's tweet and how he got a lot of heat for saying what he said about women's wrestling. This is 100% real.
Mm-hmm.
This is no work. I mean, they just said, okay, this is what Glenn is doing on Twitter. We're going to say it on the show. I thought it was good. And they have him, I guess they're about to go into a feud with this Scarlett Bordeaux. I did watch a clip of Disco searching for management in the back. I don't know if it was from last week, but I saw it on YouTube. And I guess he's just arriving to the company. And I don't know if it's specifically to take on this girl to prove that women's wrestling is bad or whatever. But I'm sure there's going to be more Glenn Gilberti involvement on the show.
Well, and what's great about Disco is that he'll take the job. He doesn't care, and he'll let the women get over and try and advance women's wrestling. But I'm not sure it's going to change his real opinion of women's wrestling. Now, let's get to the match itself.
Yes.
I mean, this was one that, what are we looking at, 6.5 stars here? What do you think?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know why it went so long. I was surprised that it went longer than 2 minutes. But they actually had a match. What was this, like a 10-minute match or something?
Yeah, it seemed like it. I mean, it was a legitimate match.
And there was one guy, and dude, I don't know if he's a Disco fan or, but as they're wrestling, there was like one guy chanting, "This is wrestling." Did you catch?
Bro, you know what's great too? At the very beginning of the match, they get into this wrist lock thing that they're doing. Where you spin the arm, and Kikutaro does the flip out of it, and then he flips again right back into it, and you can see that he's like favoring his arm. Some funny stuff there, but yeah, absolutely, this match went way too long. They could have made their point in half the time, to say the least. So
right.
Anything else about this match?
No, just the interesting concept of using the realism, because they're obviously making fun of wrestling and wrestling fans here. Again, you have the legend spot with Dreamer, you have the weed smoking circle, and now you have this. Like, I'm starting to think they're on their product, I guess is the best way to say it. It's a lot different than anybody else going right now.
Winner Glenn Gilberti. Backstage, Taya which is Johnny Impact's wife, says she's not worried about her number one contenders match for the Knockouts title. She's more concerned about Johnny's neck issues and his match tonight. So there's that little thing. Next, we get Reno Scum. That's Adam Thornstowe and Luster the Legend versus KM and Falaba. So, bro, I was just trying to learn who these people were in this match.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to say about that. I didn't care for this match at all. I wasn't interested. But when Reno Scum came out, Josh Matthews at least explained which guy was which. Mm-hmm. Like he did his job as an announcer. Because a lot of times you can click on WWE, and if you have never seen the show before, you do not know what's going on. And they don't care to explain. They just assume that you know.
Which is a good thing, so that, for two people who have just come back to the show like you and I, he sets it up for us so that we know who the two people are in the tag team. And he actually did it on the other side, too, with KM and Falaba. So, yeah, at least there was that. Now, Ba gets knocked to the floor immediately, and it's pretty much a 2-on-1 situation until he makes it back to the apron of the ring. And then incredibly, as soon as he gets to the apron, he's not hurt at all anymore. I mean, he was selling all the way to the apron. But once he jumped on that apron, bro, the selling stopped. He got the hot tag, and then he pretty much cleaned house. Yeah, not a great match. Again, I'm not going to kill them. I don't really know them. I have to learn more about them. But I didn't see a lot here that I was interested in. But we'll see. Maybe something else happens later on. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah. Again, I don't know. This was boring for me. It was just boring. And again, I don't know if that's because I don't know the guys or if it was just boring. But for a guy that never saw it before, I thought it was just boring.
Okay. So that's actually, for us, that would be the first negative segment that we've seen.
Yeah, but coming off the disco match, it's slowly going downhill at this point for me.
It's trending in a certain direction.
Yes, trending downward.
So then you got the spot with Conan, comes up to the Lucha Brothers and reminds them that he told them that they get a rematch. And Penta says 0 and shoves his hand in Conan's face. And Conan is all mad about being disrespected. And LAX wonders when they're getting their match. And I don't know, kind of a weird segment in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this, and also Impact fans. We know about AAA. We know about Lucha Underground. We know that these two guys are doing indie dates. We know that these two guys are heading to AEW. Does this bother anyone else? Because I'm kind of getting bothered by it's the same, like there's a group of guys that are on every show. I just watched a Being the Elite recently where the Young Bucks went and officially answered the Lucha Bros, but it was on an indie show. So they're carrying like storyline threads through different companies. Like I think it would be even AEW, even Impact, even ROH. Lock down your guys. If it's financially feasible, lock down your guys and make them your own. Because, man, especially these two guys, they've been working in Impact. How the hell do you let these two guys go? If I don't know. I'm just saying, if I was running Impact, these are two guys that would be at the top of the list that we must lock down. They're Impact property. Let me know if it bothers anybody else. Does it bother you?
Well, I'll say this. I saw, I think it was just this past weekend, that the Lucha Brothers won a tag team title. And I don't know if it was some kind of a Fed show, small Fed or indie show or whatever. And as soon as the match was over, the lights go out and the Bucks show up in the ring and challenge them and beat them and take those titles off them. So now the Bucks are those title holders. So you're right. They're playing these storylines throughout these small promotions or these indie shows. And if I was an Impact fan, would it bother me? Hell yeah, it would bother me.
Right.
I would want to know, how the hell can you let this happen?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they did a spot where I think they were wrestling LAX. I don't know if this is the most recent one where the Bucks showed up and the lights went out, but I'm pretty sure they did that and they were wrestling LAX at the time.
Okay.
Lucha Bros. So I don't know. It would bother me. Impact fans, put it down in the comments.
Moving on to the number one contendership for the Knockouts title. And we know that women's wrestling sells. We've had that conversation before. Tessa Blanchard versus Jordynne Grace. Now, heard a lot about Tessa Blanchard. I think that probably her in-ring work is pretty good. I'll tell you one thing, bro, and I might get killed for this because I'm the one that always gives AC a hard time for things he says about the women.
Uh-huh.
But bro, the first thing I noticed in this match is Tessa Blanchard is wearing a unbelievable amount of makeup. I mean, it looks like it's caked on her face, like you can't even see her face. I mean, bro, how do you wrestle with all that makeup on? I don't know how she does it.
Well, that's spoken like a true misogynist. You're not going to judge her on her in-ring work. You're going to judge her on her makeup.
I think I said first that she has good in-ring work, but
we're going to forget about that. We're going to focus on the makeup.
I just didn't think whoever's doing her makeup, and maybe it's just her, I think she could lighten up a little bit. Okay. What did you think about the wrestling, Tessa Blanchard versus Jordynne Grace?
Honestly, at this point, I think this was the cleanest match. And that's including the first match with Dreamer. This was the cleanest, I think, most technically sound match so far on the show.
How about that?
Yes. And again, dude, there's something else going on in the WWE as an equivalent to this, what I just said. We're mentioning this women's push that WWE is doing. And yeah, women's wrestling doesn't sell and all that stuff. It's been proven in history. But when you look at the rest of the card, you put them up against the guys, sometimes they do have the best match. So what are promoters supposed to do if you know you can grab two girls and put on a pretty darn good, clean match? Why not use the girls? Because right now, I think overall in wrestling, you're seeing a lot of women's matches being the best match on the card.
Yeah, there was a spot there, bro, where Blanchard was hitting Grace with a bunch of forearms. Then she takes her and drags her face across the rope, which,
yes,
bro, right there, I fell in love with her. Then
right.
She kicks Grace and hits a code breaker off the second turnbuckle in the corner. That was a great spot there, a great little spot there. They did a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it like? What's the WWE missing there? I mean, I'm not gonna totally kill him because whenever I see Charlotte in a match or Ronda Rousey in a match, I do enjoy it. But even Asuka, to a certain extent, as long as she's wrestling somebody who is capable. But outside of those three, even Becky, dude, I have a very hard time with their ring work. It's just not the best. And some of them, and we made this, I mentioned this on the last show, I think that we did, is when they hit the ropes, some of those girls, I just want to puke. Just to, if you can't hit the ropes, don't. That's my opinion. Just don't. Don't do it. If you can't do it, don't do it. Stay away from it. It looks dumb. But I'll let you go ahead and say your piece on this match.
So are you saying Tessa hits the ropes?
I am, yes.
Okay. Impact fans, don't get mad and turn off, because I know I used to be like this too with TNA. Everybody has to compare. Everybody reviewing TNA or Impact has to compare everything to WWE. We're not trying to do that on purpose, but I don't know why the top company wouldn't sign Tessa Blanchard. You already got Charlotte there. It's a no-brainer. All right, you got the second-generation Horseman girls there. I don't get why, when you watch Tessa Blanchard, over on the WWE show, you have Mandy Rose currently in a program with Asuka. Who would you rather see in that spot, Tessa Blanchard or a Mandy Rose? And for every Mandy Rose they have 10 other Mandy Roses. I would much rather trade, like if I'm sitting at the table in WWE, I'm saying, why don't we do this, guys? Why don't we cut 10 to 12 girls that we currently have and take that money and dump it into Tessa Blanchard's lap? I don't understand it. She's a hell of a lot better than a lot of girls right now.
And dude, the money can't be, I mean, we're talking about Impact. So what kind of money is she making from Impact? I can't imagine it would take much
Right.
to get her away. Now, maybe she likes the idea of wrestling in the indies and controlling her own schedule and all of that. But if that's true, I guess maybe she would be somebody that AEW should be looking for, because their schedule is a lot lighter.
Right.
Than
Well, she was on All In too. She did wrestle
Right.
that match.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say like Charlotte Flair. I think she's so much better than most of them.
Yes.
The way she hits the move, and I don't want to, sound like, sexist, but she hits the moves like a trained guy. And I that's going to make sense if you just take it for what it is.
Well, and
Tessa reminds me of the same thing. She hits her moves like she's a trained guy.
She's grown up in it, just like
Right.
Charlotte has. So.
It's just they're just so much better than other people. But Jordan Grace did a decent job too. That ass was hanging out pretty good. That has to be said. But she did a decent job too.
So she gets the win. She walks up the ramp, and then Blanchard, in her anger, I guess she takes the ring boy.
Loved it. Loved the spot.
The bell boy, I guess you would call him. Okay, the ring bell guy. And she's beating him up. She's humiliating, whatever. And out comes Gail Kim. It looks like they're setting up a match between Gail Kim and Tessa Blanchard, probably in her next pay-per-view. What'd you think of seeing your old flame, Gail Kim, in the ring?
She was my old wrestling flame. But I think it's great because it's kind of, I'll say this tongue-in-cheek, a dream match. But if there was, I mean, you're talking about a legend in women's wrestling versus the hot young stud in Tessa. So I think there's money to be made there. Absolutely. Sign me up. I'm in.
So as good as that was, they go backstage and do this spot with Scott D'Amore.
Yes.
With Tessa and Gail Kim. And, bro, I thought that spot was not good. And a lot of times in the past, I think we have been a little critical of Gail Kim's work on the stick. And I'm not even sure that this was her fault. I mean, it just didn't seem like it was very well done to me. I thought Scott D'Amore came off as not a very good actor. What'd you think of that spot? I
didn't think it was bad at all.
Okay.
And the reason being was because you could tell it wasn't scripted.
Well, it definitely was not scripted.
Yeah, they definitely had bullet points to get across, but it wasn't scripted. But however, the logic in Scott D'Amore, and I don't know what Scott D'Amore's character is. Does he have a tendency to lean heel? Because I got the impression that he's yelling at Gail because I know Gail's like a legit producer on the show or an agent.
He's telling her to act like an office person.
Right. You wanted the office? Get in the office. Stay in the office. I get that point. But why isn't he picking on Tessa? Is it because she's the number one star? Because she just attacked a staff member. So
right.
On one hand, D'Amore is saying staff members can't attack wrestlers, but wrestlers can attack staff members.
Correct.
Like it didn't make logical sense unless, like Tessa's point was, you take care of me. That would say, to me, D'Amore leans towards heels.
So Gail was suspended for a week.
Yes. She's going home.
Backstage, Rosemary is with Allie, reminding her the many times that she is lost to the darkness. And there was some craziness going on in this
Enter
spot,
Jimmy Jacobs. You know Jacobs works there, right? When I saw this, I don't know what's going on. I remember Rosemary, and I remember the faction that she with Crazy Steve and Abyss. What were they called?
Oh,
do you remember? Like, she was in there. People are screaming at us right now.
I can't remember.
It was like a Psycho Circus type, all the weirdos are in the group. I can't remember what it was called, but this right here, dude, as soon as I saw it, this has Jacobs written all over it, dude. I felt like I was high on meth watching this, trying to figure out what the F is going on. Dude, there's a bunny. Something with the bunny. Are they literally talking about a stuffed animal? Like, what is going on here? Are these just like freaky little, like, young adults that act like they're children because they're effed up? Like, what's going on here?
And I guess that we just popped in for this show. Obviously, we don't know what the story is, if there is a story going here. So we're going to have to learn, is she really letting the darkness consume her? Is there a literal bunny involved here? And of course, the group Decay,
Decay, thank you,
is the group that we were talking about with Rosemary. So, bro, I guess we'll have to watch and see with this thing. It was crazy, but it did pique my interest a little bit to see what's going, because Allie looks so much different.
Oh God, yeah, I didn't even know it was her. Like,
it's like she's a different person.
Yeah.
So,
but I think Rosemary's cool. She was always cool. So.
Back from commercial, OVE films himself as Callahan reminds Swan about all the significant things that he has said to him and how he threw it all away. Bro, this was very Shield-like.
Yes.
This is why people would be calling them a Shield imitation. I thought that this little segment here was, that's the first thing I thought is, oh my God, they're the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
So...
they're an evil version of the Shield.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. I thought Callahan was good, but it's a little bit, to me, a little too much the same or similar. I think they could do something different.
So it looks just like this is going to lead to a big match between Callahan and Rich Swann. And I don't know, is that next week? Did they name that for next week? Or
I don't know. I don't know if it was next week.
I was trying to remember. And a question, Rich Swann and the, I don't know, ski goggles, or what's the story there?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. If you know, put it down in the comments. What's the idea behind these ski goggles? Is it just the same as, Baron Corbin's Applebee's host outfit? I don't know.
Yes.
Next, the Desi Hit Squad take on Eli Drake and, bro, your namesake, Eddie Edwards. A lot of people don't realize that you took the name Edwards because of your fondness toward the Wolves and Eddie Edwards. In fact,
yes,
a lot of people don't realize that you have the claw bloody mark tattoo on your chest. And actually, yours goes all the way down your chest and wraps around the back of your body, down your ass, too.
Yes, True.
Talk to us about the Desi Hit Squad versus Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake.
Yeah, big Wolves fan. I've been a big Wolves fan for as long as I can remember.
Who wasn't?
Right. Desi Hit Squad, I need to see more of the manager. I like that there was an old guy being the manager. Somebody in the Twitch chat was saying that one of those guys is related to Jinder. I don't know I don't know if that was a joke or if that was legit. I didn't look it up.
Of course they're related.
Right, that could have been the joke. But maybe we'll look into that. Eli Drake, I remember. I always thought he was a little better than what he deserved when we were watching it. He was kind of stuck in the lower mid card back then, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, Edwards, I don't know, man. He he came out and he was dressed, you know, Boston, and he had the Irish thing going on. But what happened to Eddie Edwards? Like, with his character, there was the Wolves, and now he's like some hardcore guy. Again, this is us stepping away. We don't know, but apparently he's walking around with a kendo stick like he's a hardcore dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I swear Drake throws the kendo stick in and he uses it for the win. And I swear the announcer said something like, Drake succumbs to Eddie Edwards' ways or something like that. So I'm not sure. Is Drake still a heel? Or last I saw him, he was a heel. I don't know. Maybe he's a face. You know, again, this is the problem. When you leave for so long, there could be so much different that you're not aware of. I'm not sure. And dude, when I heard Josh Matthews go on about you never know which Eddie Edwards you're going to get, and he went through, the scientific, the hardcore,
right,
the bruiser. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we missed like a huge push for him. I don't know, but I definitely got the impression that he's a somebody there, So, but I'll say this: the match itself, again, tag wrestling. It's too damn fast. You got a guy tagging in. He's doing the knee strikes and the kicks, and then the other guy doesn't even tag. He just comes in, and then Eli Drake comes in. It's like, that's not tag wrestling, man. I am begging for some company to stop this. Just do tag wrestling like we know tag wrestling. It's too much, man. And I know they do the spots where they cut the ring in half and stuff, but that's not the story anymore. That's just part of it.
Yeah, this match to me, I didn't see a lot in this. It was okay, I guess. It was nice to see Eli Drake again. I thought the guy was very talented as we watched it, before.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see that he's still working and still doing something. But I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot in this match for me. I mean, again, maybe we'll see more as time goes on. Time will tell.
I do want to give Eli props for. Did you see the catch? Edwards,
yes.
Edwards used the stick, and he just one-handed the catch. He tossed it back out of the ring. I thought that was impressive, because if he misses that, everybody's making fun of him for a week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just stuck his hand out, caught the kendo stick with one hand. Pretty good. Also, when they were leaving, Eli was up at the top, and he's motioning, the belt, should they make a run. So, evidently, they're telling us the story. These are two singles guys. I don't know what brought them together, but they're together, kind of. Eli's saying, hey, why don't we make a run at the belts? So they're telling a story here. So that's good, at least.
So just to answer your question, Gama Singh, who is the manager, is the uncle of Jinder Mahal.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So whether, the one guy's name is Raj Singh. I don't know if he's, is he really a Singh? Is he the son of Gama? Would he be Jinder's cousin? I have no idea. I'd have to look into that.
Right.
Okay, so the next thing we see is Killer Cross, bro.
Whoa.
He's dragging an unconscious Johnny Impact over his shoulder and into the ring with a cinder block and a steel chair in his hand. First thing I want to say is I've read about this Killer Cross. A lot of people are very big on Killer Cross. Do you know much about Killer Cross?
I don't know much of anything about him. I know he looks like a stud. When he came out, like, I'll tell you, up until this point, Dreamer match was good. You had the smoking weed thing, and it kind of crescendoed down. And then Tessa and Jordan Lynch kind of brought it up a little bit. And then I saw Jimmy Jacobs at his finest with that spot, and then the Desi Hit Squad. It was kind of like a little bump in the road. The women's match peaked it, and then I was going down. Hill again. But when Killer Cross came out dragging Johnny, dude, my eyes peeked up. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Complete beast.
So they bring out security, and he.
Do you know anything about him or no?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I've heard a lot of people speak about him in very endearing terms. That there's a lot of folks out there in the wrestling world who think that the kid is going to be something someday, that he's on his way. We'll see where he goes. I mean, if he is this great young talent that I'm hearing so many people talk about, I mean, for Impact to have him on their show is huge. Now, will they be able to keep him?
Yes.
That's going to be the question.
It's always the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So he gets rid of the security, and Taya comes out with Cage. Now, Cage is supposed to be wrestling Johnny Impact for the world title, so this is throwing a monkey wrench in the whole works here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we already know that Johnny's hurt. He's got the neck brace on. He's in a bad way, but somehow he was cleared by doctors to wrestle. They mentioned that, actually, that Johnny was cleared by the doctors to wrestle, which I thought was weird with the neck brace and all, because, you know, why wasn't he signing a hold harmless agreement, right?
Right.
I mean, we know that the hold harmless agreement is the way to go with somebody who's injured. I mean, we've learned that over the last month.
Absolutely.
Maybe this is why Impact is having financial problems. They don't do the hold harmless agreement when they should. I don't know. They dropped the ball on that. So there's Johnny. He's got the neck thing on, and Killer Cross is he's ready to kill him. He puts the cinder block next to his head, and bro, he nails that chair. It's the end of Johnny Impact. So Taya goes into the ring herself to stop the madness. And bro, I think Killer Cross was about to clean her clock. But your boy, Brian Cage, comes in and saves the day.
He did. He saved the day. And they got me on this, dude. I don't even know the story, but they got me. Because I thought for sure, I didn't see Johnny at all about to do what he was about to do in this segment. There was no giveaway, dude. Like sometimes when they do things like this, not just Impact, just wrestling, you feel like you know what's about to happen. Right. Did you get that Did they give you any inkling that there was going to be a turn here?
Not till the very last moment. Like, I'm talking 2 to 3 seconds before she takes the cheap shot at his groin. I went, uh-oh. Because he kind of turns his back on them, and that's the spot where, usually bad things happen, Mm-hmm. So Cage takes the nutsack shot from Taya. Johnny does the kip up, throws off the neck brace, and bro, they leave Brian Cage for dead. And Killer Cross just stands outside and enjoys it, kind of laughs. So moving forward, what are we to expect here? Will we see a relationship between Johnny and Killer Cross, do you think? Or how do you think that's going to play out?
I don't know what the relationship is there, because this is the first I'm seeing it, but I'm wondering if Killer Cross is like a hired gun for people. Mm-hmm. He'll do some dirty work maybe. But I always personally loved Johnny, whatever his last name is at any given time, as a heel.
Agreed.
And from the story I'm gathering that they're telling with Cage, I think he basically said to Cage, you can have a shot anytime you want it. I don't know why he said that, but Cage chose it. So now, instead of having two buddies wrestling or two faces, now you made it personal by doing this. So it's something out of the whole show, it's something that I may come back for. They gave me a reason to come back, and that's what I was looking for by doing this little experiment with Impact.
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the show was okay, I guess. But this was the one thing that now I want to see the rest of the story. I want to see how it plays out.
I thought there were a couple of things on the show that drew me in, and I will watch again. So we got a good heel turn.
Yes.
I thought that whole segment was very well done. We got a very good women's wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
We got a very dark segment between Rosemary and Allie, whom you are giving credit to your boy for.
Has to be. It's got Jacobs written all over it. Jacobs is in charge of that program.
We got the funny segment with the dudes and the smoke and the weed or whatever's going on there.
Yep.
And then we had the match with OVE and Tommy Dreamer stealing the show there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there was enough entertainment value in the show that I'll be back next week.
Wow.
Are you, like, what is your gut telling you? Is your gut telling you
Gut check.
Yes. Is your gut telling you that this could be something to drag you in on a weekly basis, or is your gut telling you that this is not going to last long? What do you think?
Here's what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me that I will come back because of Johnny. But my gut is telling me that I don't know if there's anything else which could affect me not coming back in the future.
Well, the Lucha Brothers are there for now.
For now.
They'll have some time to maybe get somebody else over, but I don't know who that's going to be. Because looking at it, someone who hadn't seen it in a while, and looking at the tag teams that I saw on the show on Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you see somebody that you think is that tag team that could step in there once the Lucha Brothers leave and go to AEW? I mean,
maybe the OVE guys, maybe.
So would that be, you're talking about the two brothers?
Yeah.
The Chris brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No. I mean, LAX is there, but those other teams, what was it, Reno Scum and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. And I know we're only watching it for the first time. Maybe they have a bunch of tag teams. I don't know, but...
The Desi Hit Squad.
Nah.
The Yokozuna guy and his partner.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
They seem just like mid-card guys to me.
Yeah. So we're going to have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And I don't want to be too critical on it because, we are literally parachuting in to watch it to see what it is, but...
So on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mm.
what are you giving this? 1 being the lowest, of course, 10 being the best.
4.
Ooh.
4.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
You're going to come back to a 4.
I am. And the sad thing is, Johnny is probably a full point there. The rest of the show is probably the other 3, and that's not good for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I do like is, like you said, there you had a little bit of the dark side with the story with Jacobs. I'm just saying it's Jacobs. You have the realism of the disco thing. You had drug references. So maybe it is a little more adult, compared to other things going on right now. Maybe it is a little bit more Attitude Era entertainment, than a New Japan 90% matches type of thing, which could be good to have that alternative. So there's promise there, I think. What do you say about grading and what you thought overall?
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 5.5-ish. I don't know if I'd go as high as a 6, but I would definitely want to be better than a 5 because, like I said, I thought the first half hour went very quick. And I thought that the Johnny segment was pretty well done. And I did like the women's match and some of the other, vignettes and things outside of that. So I'd like for it to be higher than a 5, maybe not quite a 6, maybe a 5.75, something like that, 5.5.
Okay.
But I'd put it right around there. I don't think I would go as low as a 4. And, I'm going to give them the chance and we'll see what happens. Now, I mean, even the disco stuff, a lot of people I think probably wouldn't enjoy that. But because I remember Disco Inferno and because I'm familiar with Glenn Gilberti and the Vince Russo deal and all of that, I kind of enjoyed seeing him in that spot. So
Yep.
I guess it depends on where you are with Glenn Gilberti, whether or not you thought that was a good segment. But I do think that, he's going to be somebody, if they're trying to get this woman wrestler over as a face, I think Glenn Gilberti could really help her toward that. So, hey, why not?
And I think she's a stripper. I think that's her gimmick. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think.
Which is great then, because that's what Glenn Gilberti wants to see in women's
right.
wrestling,
It could be interesting.
Good.
We'll
Anything
see.
else, bro?
Nope, that's it. Do you have anything else?
Nope. So one down, and next Friday, we'll be watching again, and you can come right back here and hear about the show. Is there any way that you know of that our fans, if they missed the show, is there somewhere they can go and watch that show?
I don't know. Again, it's very strange. They don't give you a straight answer anywhere. I think you have to just watch clips on YouTube if you miss it.
So if you're out there, again, you're a Impact Wrestling
please.
fan, help us out. If you know somewhere that our fans can go and watch that show now after the fact, put it down in the comments, wherever that is. If it's on YouTube, if it's on, Twitch again, I don't know that you can. I think Twitch, only has them live.
Yeah.
Is there a Pursuit website that has the show on afterwards? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. But we'll be back Friday to watch the show, and then next week we'll do another recap show. And if you liked what you heard, give us a like, maybe sub. Who knows? Maybe we'll become an Impact review show here and there. What do you think? Is it possible that we could fall in love with Impact the same way we fell in love with TNA?
Well, let's at least give it a yeoman's try. And
We're going to give it a try.
See if we can or can't. Okay, you can get me at DJ Stames on the Twitter.
Yeah.
My boy here at Blading for Truth. And hell, you can just go at Soldiers of Shoe and look at everybody. But for DJ Stames, my man Hollywood Edwards, who was named after the great Eddie Edwards.
Correct.
So long, and we'll see you next time.